amazing articles for you on our website. So our website is there. Get Creative Money. Go there and go get entertained. Just go on Google, just type Creative Money Africa, and you're going to see us pop up. And you can just go there, dive in. We have amazing materials for you to look at, for you to read, and for you to get educated and entertained as well. Also, we also have a community for you. This community is to um, is to help build a collaborative system or room for you to be able to collaborate and engage with like minds like yourself. And today, if you join that community today, what you stand to gain is one of our latest ebook is a companion guide in attachment to this particular week webinar. It's titled The Creative Wealth Blueprint workbook. So this is a practical hands-on companion to today's framework. It's built to help you actually apply what you learn instead of just nodding along inside. You will find worksheet to track how money moves through your creative business. Simple system to help you keep more of what you earn, and step-by-step prompt to help you plan your next stage of growth. So please join our community, our WhatsApp community, because all of this value and more is what you will get today. If you join today, you get this book. It's a roadmap, Gold Mind. I've read it because I'm inside. I've read it. I know it's Gold Mind. So please join to get this ebook as well. Um, so moving on from that, today we're honored to introduce to you our founder, a very humble and sweet soul, honestly. He has been a brand strategist and an entrepreneur with almost 2 decades of experience helping organizations and now creatives like yourself turn talent into sustainable value. Through Creative Money Africa, he's building platforms where creative across music, fashion, film, photography, design, writing, and more can learn, connect, and turn geniuses into real income. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome our founder, my personal boss. His name is, we can all, in the emoji section, let's give him a round of applause. His name is Mr. Ekpedeme Ufot, aka Denzonini. That is what we're calling him now. Please let's give him a round of applause and welcoming him. He will come and give us a recap and then introduce our guest speaker. Thank you very much. Mayoga, please over to you.
Thank you, Sonia. Good evening, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Please let me
Yes, we
know.
can hear you.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who's been with us over the past 3 weeks. Particularly, I've seen Naomi. She's been here a couple times. There's Tonya and a couple of people. Damilola and all. So thank you very much. You know, before I go into today's session, it just occurred to me that perhaps I haven't even gone into detail, like what Creative Money Africa is about, where the idea started from, So I'll just take a few minutes just to, give us, I mean, I know we've been on the platform, we have an idea, but just to give a personal story, how this came about. So it's one day I was seated somewhere. For those who know me, I like my white wine. So I was having that, and then it occurred to me, was it just a random thought? You know how you sit down, your mind just starts, you know, and I was like, there are too many people who I know in the creative space that are quite quite creative, quite brilliant, but somehow they just can't translate that creativity into commercial success, right? Because growing up, when I started my career, my plan was, be good at what you do and then get a job. Because when we started, there was nothing like remote work or gigs, side gigs, and stuff. You have to do like a 9 to 5, you know. So my plan, which I think was most people's plan, was be very good, get a job, work hard, get promoted, and then at some point, maybe after 5, 7 years, you know, you set out to start your own business if you have that entrepreneurial drive. But obviously, I found out quite early, thankfully, that things don't work that way. So I looked at my industry, which is advertising, that some of the most successful people are not necessarily the most talented, right? Naturally. You get me? So it got me thinking, like, okay, what's the difference? And then I think that same um, soliloquy, I was talking to myself, right? I asked myself, okay, you claim to be creative, you have ideas, what do you have to show for it? You know, beyond going for pitches, everybody's like, hey, brilliant. What tangible impact can you demonstrate? Beyond even money, like what products do you have, community have you built, what book, movie, or whatever. So that was like the basis, or that substructure that got me into this path, right? So I just felt I needed to just give us that background. So having said that, so what we're building here is a community of people who want to do well, right? Who have the talent, but then how can we structure, package, and monetize that talent? That's why we are here. And before I move on, there's something I want to quickly mention, which is that this community we're building is about learning, networking, and a bit of play, because we're not just here to learn. So it is expedient that we establish the fact that as we proceed, we're going to grow. I mean, we're just starting, but there has to be value that we get from one another. So, for example, I should be able to, if I need a photographer, I should be able to look within the community, and get someone, because if we're not supporting each other, there's no value. I mean, it's one thing to come and learn and all that, but how does this community benefit me? It's something that's very strong on our minds. And then secondly, as we grow, some of the people that are participants here are also going to be speakers, coming to either teach us something we need to learn about their expertise, or even selling. We're going to create that platform where people can showcase what they can do. So we don't have people coming here just listening and there's no value. I mean, of course, there's value in learning, but there has to be value in also benefiting economically from this community. So we're very practical and we're very strong on supporting one another. I'm sure as we go on, we'll delve more into that. So just a quick recap. Sonia done a bit of that, but I'll just so the first session we had out of a series of 12, which is a build-up to the book launch and the official unveiling of Creative Money. So the first session, I shared my experiences. So 18 lessons from my 18 years in advertising, pretty much touching on everything from IP to, um, authenticity and all that. Second week, we had an IP specialist. I'll say that I learned a lot. And there are things that, I mean, obviously I know about IP, but she brought out angles that I hadn't thought of, So it was quite an insightful session. Now, not to waste much time, today's session is money, money, money. I think it's something everyone wants to make, you know, but I can tell you for free that if you think making money is hard, try keeping it. I think that's in my experience as well. It's harder. And then, keeping it, growing it, and then being able to use it to do mean. I'll tell you that liquidity, I tell you every time is like we don't have liquidity, the opportunities that will come that you can't advantage of. As let's say you want to build, let's say like a hotel, for example, and then there's this land you're looking for in a particular location, and then somehow it becomes available. So let's say a land that was meant to be like 20k USD is now available at 12k. If you don't have liquidity, you cannot take that advantage. Even if you don't have like what's it called, immediate cash in your savings or current accounts or whatever, you should be able to call up funds within 48 hours max. Otherwise, the opportunity will just pass you by. So anyway, I'm not a finance expert. I just decided to give that some background because money is important in the creative journey. You know, it gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce our guest speaker today, who, by the way, is my own finance consultant, handles my tax matters, So, like I mentioned at the last session when I invited the Amusa on IP, what we are doing here is not what do you call that thing, motivation or all that and aspire to perspire whatever. We are bringing practical solutions, and we're going to ensure that at every point over the course of this 12 um, week series, we bring people who are competent in every area we're speaking to. So it gives me great honor to introduce Obianuju to you. She's the CFO of Manifold Business Group. And please pay attention. I think, and I know she has a lot to tell us about money, how to make it, how to keep it, how to grow it. And please welcome Uju into the room. Thank you very much. Looking forward to an exciting session.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for that intro. Can I be heard?
Okay, Uju, are you able to share? Okay.
Can I be heard? I wanted
Yeah,
to
sure. I
know
was
if
going to ask
anyone.
if you're able to share your screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
try
we
to
can hear
share
you.
my screen. Yes, okay.
All right, thank you.
Are we good? Please confirm if you can still see my screen. I would have loved to see the audience with this sharing of screen now. That's going to be difficult, but I guess we should just carry on.
Yes, carry on. We can see your screen.
Okay. This is kind of misbehaving. Please give me some moments to just try to get this running properly. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, creators. I'm really pleased to be in your midst this evening. A lot of creativity in the room. And it's also quite surprising, I must say, and also quite interesting to see that this series have been running for 3 good weeks. And we have people in the room that has been following it. Looking at what you've done so far, you've shared your 18 lessons in 18 years, and then you had people, an expert come share on intellectual property, which I must tell you is an asset. So the last topic neatly connects to the one we'll be having today. So yes, my name is Obiano Juma Obionyekere. A financial consultant, management consultant, and I'm really someone who enjoys working with businesses to not just make money, but to protect and keep their money, make it grow and make it work for them. You know, it's one thing to work in your business and another thing for your money to work for you. So that said, the topic assigned is the money system, what every creative business must do for lasting success. Let's begin this way. The truth is that for you to be in the room, you are either a creator yourself, you work in a creative business, or you own a creative business. So you already know how to create, and you already how to make money as well. You already know how to make money. So what this session is all about is really to help you grow that money and then get the money to work for you. Because ultimately, if I'm to say, everybody is striving towards financial sufficiency as well as financial freedom. So I'll be introducing you to a lot of concepts and a lot of frameworks. So maybe you note your questions. We'll have time to take questions before the end of the session. And then, of course, feel free to engage in the chat as much as possible. I think I'll pause from time to time to see how we're interacting with this. So, and I would like to also say that this is really not an accounting lecture either. I would like you to see it as a business clinic. We are all business people. So we're going to share things that can help you run your business in a structured format so that you can actually move beyond your creativity to achieve commercial success, which is one of the things that this community seeks to achieve for you. So what are the creative wealth anchors? There are 3 of them. So the creative wealth anchors are 3. The first is market, and the next is money, and the final one is exposure. These are anchors. I'm sure if you have seen ships, you are familiar with anchors. You usually would have a hook, and then it's what helps the ship to stay, you know, steadily without just drifting away. So using that analogy, these anchors is what would also help your creativity to actually sustain you and then leave a legacy, help you beyond you working in it, getting the money that you make from that business to work for you. So the first anchor market is really all about the people you serve. You know, it's all about the product, the problem you solve, the experience you create for your clients. It is the reason why people will buy from you. It's also about your competitiveness, your value proposition, what makes you unique. So, and I know that all of us here are masters of that market because we're in a creative market, and I know it's a big market. You know what they say about in the social media now about creators. The creators are not the fluctuations of exchange rate is actually working for them. You know, they're happy when the exchange rate is going up because you make money out of your creativity. You're able to create intellectual products which you can monetize even long after you've stopped creating. So you know the market more than I do. And I'm only here to then talk to you about the other 2 anchors. So we've said market and we've said money, and we're talking about exposure. So everything we're going to talk about this evening is going to be around these three anchors. But I'm not going to even bother myself dwelling in market, because you know your clients, you know how to win them, and you also very much understand your craft. So the second one, money, is all about what happens after you've created value for your clients. It's about how are you able to capture value for yourself, aka pricing. How are you pricing the value of your creativity? What are the things you are considering? What are the common pain points? So we'll go through certain pain areas, about 4 pain areas we have identified, and we'll drop some of the things that you can easily implement to improve that for your business. It's also all about how are you negotiating your payment terms, because one thing is to agree with you, another thing is to collect your money. He spoke about liquidity. So liquidity is key. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how you record transactions. I'm sure that's the most boring aspect of it all. Many of us are leaving our transaction record into our bank account. We believe that once we have a bank account, then we are good to go. So we're going to talk about how are you recording transactions, if any. So we're going to talk about that. Another thing we'll talk about again is exposure. So he mentioned about making the money, keeping the money is the most difficult aspect. So how are you protecting the money? How are you making sure that you are not exposing the money you have made to losses, to unforeseeable circumstances that can take them away from you? So those are the things we're going to be talking about. So these are the three anchors, like I said. Who are you solving for? Is your market. How value becomes cash and profit is all about money. And then exposure, it's about things you need to do to make sure that you do not erode value for yourself. So that's the three anchors. So let's hold that on. But before I proceed, I really would want you to keep three things in mind. So think about the last time you sent a proposal. What was the very recent proposal you sent to somebody, to a prospect that have asked you for prices? Think about that proposal and just hold on to that thought. Then the second thing I want you to keep in mind is your list of outstanding payments, aka your unpaid invoices. How many are they? What are their ages? Are you happy about the list? Are they bankable? Can you actually take that list to any bank and get them to discount them and give you cash if you need liquidity to go buy that property that he mentioned? So think about that. Then the third one is quite connected to the second one, which is about your bank balance. So are you happy with your bank balance? And what is the available bank balance as of today? What is your bank balance? So with those three things in mind, I would like us to talk about these items here. We have 6 items on the board, and I would like, at this point, I think I would like to see reactions in the chat about which of these 6 do you consider the money leaker in your business? Which of these 6? So we didn't set up a Zoom poll, but I would like to see what's going on the chat. Do you like what you see in your bank accounts? What are your collections looking like in terms of who are owing you? Your collections are the money people owe you. Your quotation, your price is all about the last proposal you have submitted, and then your records, are you just relying on your bank account? So which one of these 6 items we have would you consider are money leakers for you in your business? I'm going to look at the chart. Let me see if anything has been dropped there for me. Do I see anything? And let's try and make this as interactive, because the value we can get out of it is entirely dependent on the value that we put right during this conversation. Okay. Which one of the 3 things do you consider money leakers in your business? Okay, I charge upfront before I start to execute any gig. Yes, so I like that. Very important. Liquidity. So collection is not a problem for you. Okay, good. That was from who now? From Ade Negan. Okay. Then we have Naomi saying, I can't see the screen sharing. Oh my God. I think I stopped sharing actually. Okay, but I'll call out the item, the 6 items for you. You can actually just put either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for me. Is it pricing that is your where do you think you are dropping the ball basically? Pricing. Is it pricing? You know, do you quote fast but margin is unclear? Do you consider that a problem? Are you dropping balls there? Then you have collections. Clients pay late, but someone already said he collects 70%. Then profits. Can you tell your profit beyond collecting money fast? Can you tell your profits? You know, then your bookkeeping. Do you keep records? Are your records complete or are they incomplete? So, what are the issues? What are really the pain points in your business? I would like to know that. Then, when we talk about exposure is all about things that can erode value for you. We talked about tax. Are you very tax confident? If the tax man come knocking tomorrow, are you very sure that you're not going to lose value from there? And then the last one is about funding. If there's a grant opening today, are you able to are you investment ready? Are you able to provide information that they will require? So those are the things I wanted to see. Okay, I see taxes. Naomi said taxes, okay. Pricing and bookkeeping. Any client that is able to commit 70% upfront will definitely pay my balance. Okay. I like that thought. So hold on to it. Okay. I think we have some reactions. So thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts. So let's make this very, very interactive, please. I beg you. Okay, so I'll go again to share my screen. Yes. So my screen is up, Naomi. My screen is back up now. So we're moving on. We're moving on to the next one. Let's make this thing on slide share. Okay. So clearly I see that we have not just creative people, but business-minded and business-focused people in the room. We have them in the room, and that tells me that maybe many of this problem here, people that are in this room are not facing it, but time shall tell, as they say. Time shall tell. So the thing is that when you come into your business, we have these 6 levels. They're supposed to actually interact. They're supposed to connect. The first thing is about your pricing. And the question about your pricing is that it's all about what are the things you consider as you're putting your pricing and your quotation together. So if the business keeps winning projects and then you're losing margins, then when the cash flow arrives, does it look like are there times when your bills arrive and the month is ending and there are things to be spent and you are realizing that there is no cash to meet those requirements? And can you tell your profit? This one is one thing again. Many people can actually tell what their revenue is, but they struggle to tell their profits. And your taxes are based on profit. So it's important that you know your profits. Then your records. So your record is actually also what is going to help you to connect everything together, your pricing, your cash flow, your profits, and then of course reduce compliance pressure for you, and also help you to get funding when required. And beyond funding, there are times that you might just want to sell your business. You can build your business for 20 years and you're ready to sell it. And if you don't have your business all put together, you will struggle to sell it. You will see businesses that it might be worth $1 billion, $1 billion today. And if you manage your businesses very well, build your brand equity, you can sell that business a multiple of X's, maybe 5x, 6x to 7x, depending on how your business have been packaged. So beyond the money, your business basically just giving you money right now, I would like that we think further and think about the business surviving us, we leaving the business as a legacy for our loved ones. So how can you achieve that? That's why we are going to delve right inside the next topic, which is all about building your financial operating system. Your financial operating system is really the connectivity of these six items we have on the screen. Those six things, when they are connected and they are working in sync, you know that you have a financial operating system. So many of us here might already have these things. We might have the contract in our WhatsApp. Maybe the client just send us WhatsApp message and we agree, and with that, the contract. Are we registered? Are we contracting our personal names? Have we registered our business? So the very first thing is formalizing your business. So if you're here and you haven't formalized your business, I would like that you take a note and maybe probably leave a comment so I can know the stages. So it's you just owning up and saying that I know I haven't registered my business, but I'm going to commit to register, because that's the foundational step to actually building a financial operating system behind your creativity. So, but beyond registration, you also need to open bank accounts. So if I'm to take it stepwise, it's like you open, now that you have been creating, you know your craft, you've tested it, you have some bit of revenue. It's time for you to then formalize it as a business. Take it away from gig. It's no longer a gig, it's no longer a hustle. At this point, it's becoming a business. So the very first step is to go register your business. In Nigeria, it's the Corporate Affairs Commission. You get lawyers to help you with the registry. It's online, but then to make life easy for you, so you can focus on craft, you can easily just formalize, register, open a bank account. And once you've opened a bank account, the next thing you should do, the third step actually should be to set up a financial operating system. And the financial operating system in this age of technology is you actually adopting an accounting system that can actually then help you put the rest of this 2 to 8 together. So with such a system, you can do your pricing there, you can enter your contracts there. So you can actually then create contracts and then document it within the system. You can bill your clients from there, you can collect payments from there, you can record. So all of this I'm already saying, bill, collect, it's already a form of record, but then you can have a single source of truth for your system. And with such a system, you can also move on to make reviews. And that's where I'll ask the question of how often do you even review the performance of your business? Would you say it's weekly? Would you say it's monthly or quarterly? So beyond registering with CAC, because many of us have companies we've registered for many years, that will just register, we use the name, but we're not actually operating those businesses properly. Now, take this as a reminder to open a bank account, separating your income from the income of the business, and begin to track your business information. So this is the foundational thing, like we say. And then we move on to one of the pain points we have identified. So working with many businesses, we realize that pricing is often by instinct, and this happens because sometimes a client, a prospect is reaching out, and out of fear, you do not want to lose the business, and you basically just call any price without properly sitting down to look at what are the different components of these prices, what are the things I should consider. So you might then end up having an agreement that will end up making you losses. And sometimes for you, because it's your creativity, you might not be pricing your IP properly, because you might just think it's my time and you're not placing the right premium on your price. Your price, your value, your time is valuable. Your intellectual work is also valuable. So are you placing the right cost around those things? Then another problem we've noticed is that people have unlimited revisions. Maybe you are a creator, you've created logo for a business, and they've had 10, 20 iterations after they've told you the sort of the things that they would like to see. And you're not even considering that in your costing. in your pricing, So some of these things are the things that some of the errors that we make, and we believe that by the time I have more clients, I'll be able to make profit. But it's better that you get your unit economics right from the get-go. If you have for other reasons why you want to do something without thinking it might be that I'm just starting out. I just want to prove that I am a creator. I have talent. You just want to get traction. I have evidence. Then it's fine. Then it means that somehow you are actually incurring marketing costs. Then it's clear that you are intentional and deliberate about underpricing yourself because you have factored in marketing as part of. But it will get to a point that you need to actually stop that. And you also struggle because once you're used to underpricing yourself, by the time you want to raise your price, your clients are already used to you being low priced. And some people might have even moved on from you just because your prices are low. So what should you do? There are four different things you should consider when you're pricing your talents and your products and the services that you offer. For test, the first thing is your cost. I think everybody know the cost, but then cost is actually a very big topic because there are different components of this cost. Some of your costs are fixed, some are variable. Most times we just think about the variable cost, like the payouts, the cash we are going to pay out, and say that is the cost. Maybe I have some freelancer that are going to work with me. I have employees, their salaries. In fact, sometimes not even factoring the salary because maybe that employee is not going to work on that project. We don't consider our overheads, our rent, the electricity, the internet, and so many things. So the cost you have to actually then understand your cost. And for you to understand your cost, it means that you must have been keeping records and you must have been reviewing it so that that can actually drive your price. And sometimes we don't also consider the tax as a cost. So tax itself is a cost. So you need to factor in tax into your pricing so that you don't come back and the tax man is coming months later to come ask you for the money and you have to pay tax out of your profit. And sometimes by the time you finish paying the tax, you now realize that you actually worked for everybody else apart from you. So for costs, we need to keep record of everything we're doing so that we can have a proper understanding and segmentation of our fixed cost, our variable cost, our semi-variable cost, and that. So once we know our costs, we need to also consider the market. Who are your targets? Who is your ideal customer? Who are your target audience? How do they appreciate value? What do they value? Because remember that pricing is also a question of perception. So you need to understand the market, understand the competitive environment where you operate. What are the alternatives available to your audience? Because those information will also guide you as you're trying to get your pricing done. We've talked about past value. So value is also a perception, but there are certain times you are able to quantify value based on the alternatives and the options that are available to the client. And the final one is premium. So four things: cost, market, value, and premium. You must place premium on your services. So the premium will take care of your profits and of course help you to position your product in the right market segment. There's how you can price your product and you'll be in the wrong segment. So you have to put premium depending on where you have the target segment you have identified, and make sure you're adding a premium that can position you in that segment. So it's the sum total of these things that gives you the minimum amount, which is what we call the quote floor, the minimum amount you should charge for your services. And we say that what cost does is that it protects your survival, but the value is what positions you, and premium protects growth. Yes, that's exactly what I've been saying some minutes ago. So what we are talking about right now is about pricing. We've talked about the pricing pain points, and price is one of the 8 financial operating systems. We've talked about the pain points. We've now talked about how you can go about solving that problem. It's now time to move on to another pain point that is common, which is around payment terms, about liquidity. But I'm really glad that many of you are not dulling yourselves. You're already asking for up to 70% of your pricing. So it's safe to assume that we all know how to negotiate favorable payments. So once the contract is being signed, make sure that you're putting in terms that protect your payment. Do not just go agree fees without agreeing on payment terms. Be like that friend that put in there 70%. If the client can pay me 70% upfront, they can definitely pay 30%. See the mindset. That's a brilliant one. So let's make sure we are asking for that. Sometimes some clients might not be willing to pay you as much as 70%, depending on their practices. Some might want to do a 50%, and then they want to stagger the payments based on milestones. So if that is the case, you can maybe take a 50-40% so that they can see that you're not just also desperate for the money. By the time you get into production, of course, all of this depends on the total value of the project. You might have to ask for another milestone. When the client review the first, you might have another milestone. By the time you are delivering the final thing, you are asking for it. So ask for milestone payments. It will help to solve cash flow problems for you. And as a business, it's not just one contract you have running part time. So if your business is big enough, you might have multiple projects, multiple things running at the same time. And once you have that kind of thing, the next thing that happens is that it might get easier for you to keep it in the memory, because most times we just start running our business and we believe that we can keep it in our memory, right? Our memory is big enough. But once your business have multiple contracts running at the same time, it's difficult for you to really visualize what your cash position and what your profit position and the things. It can just become very murky easily. And that's why we said that after registering your business, opening bank account, the next thing you should do is to set up a system. There are some free tools out there you can actually set up, just so that as you're scaling, as you're growing, as you're acquiring more market share, the system can help you with financial visibility. So we'll encourage you to do that. And at the minimum, you should have a 13-week cash flow. A 13-week cash flow is long enough to cover 3 months. So it gives you visibility about the kind of cash you need in the short term. And that way you're able to see how you can get your outstanding invoice. Remember, I asked you about outstanding invoices. The three things I said you should keep in your mind. The outstanding invoices, you review them weekly, you know how to chase to collect the payments, you're aware of what your bank balances are, and those kind of things. Once you're aware of that, as you're submitting new quotations, new proposals, you kind of have a way of driving you, making you to become very conscious of what's going on in your business, and then you might know how to then price better. So that's why we are asking you to consider creating a 13-week plan. And if you actually have a system already in your business, it's creating a 13-week plan becomes an easy peasy. It's a matter of just clicking the report, and then the system should be able to run the management reports and all of that for you, from your balance sheet to your profit and loss and all of those kind of things. So the third one is that, yes, I said this earlier on, that everybody knows their revenue, because revenue is easy to know. It's usually what you agree with the customer, right? Is your revenue. Now, but the truth of the matter is that big revenues can hide leaks. It can hide things that is going on. So if you look at the screen now, I have about 4 projects with different revenue sizes and margins. Excuse me. And if you look at them, there are different decision points. There's different decision points that the owner of this business might consider. Project C is clearly unprofitable. And how would you know? So if you have multiple projects running at the same time, as a creator, because you are offering service, it will be good that you have project accounting even running for you. That way you can click a dashboard and you can see the profitability based on clients, based on projects, because it can be running multiple clients for one client actually. So that's when you're able to even tell pinpoint, for instance, exactly what your margin is. What's that sound? Is someone's hand up or what? Um, is there anything? Is anyone calling my attention to something? No? Okay. So I guess I should carry on. So we're talking about why you should not just focus on revenue, you should pay attention to your cost as well. Now, the fourth one is your bookkeeping. So we find this boring, we only do this when we are trying to raise funding or when our clients are asking us for tax clearance or whoever it is that is interested in our business is asking. But the truth is that this should actually be a weekly routine for you. And I don't know if anyone here that already have their books properly kept. As the transactions are happening, the transactions are being recorded. You are reviewing weekly, monthly, quarterly, depending on the number of transactions you have. So when you start out, you might actually just have one or two transactions. That's okay. And the way we have tools now, you can actually keep some of these tools from your mobile phone and update your transactions as you go on the go by yourself. It's now self-service. So bookkeeping is self-service to an extent. And the way tech is now, they are not even developing these technologies as if it's for accountants. They're just developing it in natural language. What that means is that as long as you believe that you can spend your time, your quality time doing such things, you should be able to do it yourself. So that's that for bookkeeping. And we've said that bookkeeping is important because it helps you create record. And for bookkeeping, once you really want to get it right, instead of using pen and paper, Excel, and trying to just figure it out, the best thing we recommend for you is that you actually automate your accounting so that you can have reliable record. And once you have that, those tools available in the market, they are able to connect your transactions from proposal to invoicing to bank transactions to pay. You're keeping your proper books management accounts, and then with that you're able to then have meetings with your team on a weekly and monthly basis. And this is really one aspect of keeping your money and protecting your money you should not shy away from. So in terms of growing your money, when you want to grow your money, there are multiple ways. It's either you're trying to deepen your market share, or sometimes you might need to deepen your market share, but you also would require funding. I might be able to organically do that, but there are times that you might also need money from third parties. And the truth is that the financial data that you have actually captured within your financial operating system is what can help you attract the funding that you need. And that is why we've been talking about recording. So beyond all the things you're doing, your pricing, you also need to make sure you're keeping records because, as they say, data is life. You need data to attract funding, whether it's from grant organizations or from equity financiers or from banks even. And in fact, you also need financial data to win business in the market. So there's certain projects that you might be gunning for and they would like to see your financials because they want a proof of financial capability. Even though they are going to give you milestone payments, they are likely to ask you to bring proof of financial capability because they do not want to give you the 70% and then you run away and don't deliver. So your financial data is actually a bridge between your creativity and your skill. So as long as you have that intention to grow beyond the level you are, you need to actually have your financial data captured as part of your financial operating system. So we've talked about markets, which is your craft, your audience, your value proposition, how you are competitive as a creator. And we've talked about money. And we said around money, you need financial operating system. We are moving on to the last one. Remember our three anchors. The last one is exposure. And what do we mean by exposure? Exposure is anything that can erode value for you. There could be financial exposure, there could be contractual exposure, and there could be compliance exposure. So your financial exposure, you will notice it in poor pricing. We've handled that. Weak cash reserves. So, and that was why I asked you about your available bank balance as we speak. Let's say you've seen that property you want to acquire now. What's the available bank balance? How do you want to fund it? Even if you want to attract mortgage funding, they'll ask you to bring equity capital, 20 to 30%. So can you finance that? So if you miss out on that, that's a financial exposure. If you miss out on the opportunity, that's an exposure. We also have customer concentration. Sometimes you might just have only one customer. So what happens when that customer stop buying from you? So you must find a way to diversify your customer base. You might have the B2C clients, the corporate clients, clients in financial services, manufacturing. Just have clients diversify. No single client should give you more than 50% of your earnings. You should have multiple clients giving you businesses. That way you can become a strong business. But if you continue to have diversification, and then not just about clients, it's also about your service lines. What are the different services you are offering? You also have to find a way to diversify them, because that's how you can manage exposure and retain value for your within your business. Then we know we have foreign exchange risk, your supplier risk. You're also not having concentrations on your suppliers. Then if you look at the contractual exposure, is making sure the agreements you're having with people, things like your intellectual property, which is why I'm glad that has been covered, can also create you contractual exposure and can also make you to even lose royalties you're supposed to get from your intellectual properties. So we have to pay attention to that. And then we have compliance. So this is one of the things somebody dropped there. Do you have your tax registered with all the tax authorities? What is your VAT and withholding tax compliance level, your company income tax? You have employees, what's their personal income tax they pay as you earn? And are you filing your monthly returns, your annual returns, your CAC filing? So beyond registering your company, they're actually required to file your returns to CAC every year annually. Same with the state and the federal revenue authorities. And with the new tax act that commenced earlier this year, it's one thing you cannot afford to ignore as a creative. And this is why we're talking about exposure. Sometimes we focus on making the money, which is the market, going to the market, creating the product, capturing the price, capturing the value. We do not care about keeping the money. We then lose the money through the back door, through some of this exposure. So I would like you to pay attention to this exposure and see which one of these three buckets with these examples that I have given you here do you need to act upon. Let's say you already have the financial operating system already working for you, so your money is well kept. But if your money is well kept and you're not taking care of these exposures, you have to open your wallet to actually bring out that money to take care of these exposures. Very important. That's why I'm pausing here, because I need us to really reflect on how we are dealing with this. How are we dealing with these exposures? Because in business, you have stakeholders, unwanted stakeholders that as soon as you're registering your business, government is not a wanted stakeholder, but they already have a stake in your business as long as you've decided to do business. As a business, they have a stake in every profit you make. Currently, government have 35% stake, 34% stake if you are a company, 30% as the company income tax, and 4% as development levy. So for every 100 naira you make, just keep 34 naira for government. So are you having those cash reserves? And that's why we have your cash reserve here. Do you have that money kept for government? When you are spending money, do you have money, the evidence, the documentations to back them? Do you have that documentation? Because you can determine your profit after you have taken out your cost. And the government have a mindset of your cost is overstated, your profit is understated, your revenue is understated. So for your cost, all you just need to do around it is proper documentation. Third-party documentation. Are you asking for invoices and receipts? Sometimes we don't even care about invoice or receipts. We just do WhatsApp with the supplier, and the supplier just send us bank account. We just pay and move on. Even when the supplier send us invoice, we don't even care about keeping it. We just move on. So when the tax man comes for the audit, is it your WhatsApp you want to go start going through to show as the evidence of the cost you have incurred? See how the exposure. So I'll move on, but this is one that I have seen from experience that make people to lose the money they have kept. You've made the money, you have a financial system that helps you keep your money in an organized and structured way, but you have a system that for managing exposures and risk. That is the question for you. So let's say we have made the money, we've kept it properly, and we are managing our exposure. It then means that our business is growing and we're able to scale. It can even get to a point where you see that you even have more cash reserves in your business than you need. That's when you now need to start thinking of what else you want to do, expansion, or you might even want to invest your money in outside of your business, divestment, which is encouraged, because as part of managing exposure, you shouldn't just keep all your eggs in one basket. You can actually then invest your surpluses into different asset classes. You know, we have the equity, the listed equities, we have the private equities. Then you have some money market instruments where you can also put in your money there, you know. So those are some of the different things you can do to create your diversification for yourself and help yourself move yourself from working in the business to making the business work for you. And you're able to do all of these things when you have actually done the foundational things that you need to do. So I say to you this evening that if somebody comes to you, let's say the Bank of Industry comes to you now with an offer, because they are currently offering loans at 9%. Yes, they can give you a 5-year loan at 9% interest rate. And they come to you to say, we want to give you 500 million loan. Can you produce your numbers within 7 days? Can you do that? Let's say there's a grant agency that is willing to support businesses with $50,000, $20,000, and they say, we want to see what you've been doing. Are you sure you can produce your numbers, your credible numbers within the next 7 days? So that's another food for thought for us. And the essence we're having this, like he said earlier, is for us to not just learn, it's for us to also apply what we are learning. And when we see gaps, we're expected to fill in those gaps and take action. So beyond identifying the things to do this evening is also taking action, which is why we're going to move into a roadmap that we have suggested here, that there are certain things you can actually do at this point to know what you can do. So if you haven't registered your business, one of the things you can do within the next 30 days is to register your business. You could do a business name, you could do a limited liability company. And good news is that right now you don't need more than one person to register. You can actually have a one-person limited liability company. So you go to CAC, have a lawyer do that for you, open a bank account, separating your transactions. And then if you already have your registrations and you have your bank accounts, but don't have your books, then you need to catch up with your books, because it means that you already have your transactions here and there. You need to have a cleanup done for you, and then you can become very organized as a business. And if you have your receivables and payables all in your head, this is a time to make a list of that. So from 30 days is a long time to do all of this. We just need you to stay committed to it. Within the next 60 days, you should be able to already have a pricing formula. We already gave you a formula somewhere before, when we talk about cost, your market, your premium. You need to set that formula. That way, your salespeople, your employees don't have to wait for you to set prices, because you've already have a formula. Your business will not be very dependent on you. You know, you begin to introduce milestone payments if you are already not doing it, but it looks like everyone here already does that. We are good at collecting our money. Then make sure you run your weekly cash reviews and create your compliance calendar. So there are certain taxes that you have to pay on a monthly basis, some on an annual basis. You know, monthly basis are things like your VAT, your withholding tax, your payee if you have employees. Then For pay as well, we have the annual filings. For CIT, which is the corporate tax, we have the annual filings as well. So you need to have that compliance calendar so that you can manage your tax exposures. Now, managing your numbers require that you produce dashboards. Many of the systems we have in the market now have dashboards. You can, once you have those dashboards, you'll be able to tell your profit easily, but it's important that you review them. And if you have them on your mobile phone, it's always easier. I find it easier for my CEOs we consult for. They always like to have it on their phone. The same way you check your WhatsApp, your Instagram, you're trying to catch up. You should catch up on your books. Just open the app on your phone, look at your dashboard, and make decisions. And when you have employees, do not just do the review on your own. Have town halls, business meetings, and have that done on a weekly or monthly basis. So you need to have that CEO money meeting with your employees. And when you have those meetings, you should ask them questions, because that also is an opportunity for everybody to reflect what they can do differently for your business. So we have simple questions that you can ask them on the screen. So now we want to just quickly introduce to you a framework we have created for assessing your business. It's free for you to use this tool on our website. It's called the Stable Assessment. With Stable Assessment, you can go through the assessment on our website. So you can take a screenshot of the link with your scan and just go to our website, or you can just easily just search us on the website. You will see the assessment tool right on our website there at Advi Professional Services. Go through the assessment test, and then you can book your free consultation with us. And should you need any cleaning, accounting, tax, financial setup for you, because you are a part of the Creative Money Africa community, we are offering you 50% off so that you can begin to go beyond making money to keeping and growing your money with confidence. So with that said, we'll head on to the chat to see if there are any questions there for us to take, and back to the organizers at this point.
All right. Before the chat, I want to thank you sincerely for a wonderful session. Again, I will crave your indulgence. We'll have to invite you back, because there's a lot to learn and unpack, and and also thank you for giving us that 50% discount. It's highly appreciated. Thank you very much for the session. Look forward to having you again very soon. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll hand over to Sadiq to coordinate the Q&A, and then we round off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Hi, Sadiq.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sadiq. I am the community manager. I think majority of us here, those who have been with us for the past 3 weeks, actually know me. So now, without wasting any of our time, I believe you all have learned a lot from tonight's class. Even I myself have learned a lot, and I've taken note a lot of things that I'm going to make use of after this webinar. So the next part is that the question and answer session. If you have any question for her regarding today's topic, kindly send it below. Kindly send it in the chat. Ma, please, can you check I opened a chat for you and I. There were 2 questions while you were explaining.
Okay, I'm sending.
So you can answer those ones first, okay? New ones are coming
in. Okay, thank you, Sadiq. Yeah, I see a question here. As a creative, how do you personally budget and manage irregular income so you are not broke between big gigs? So this question is from who? Okay, we don't know. It's Sadiq just dropping it. So budgets. Interesting question. So if you go back to the pricing formula we talked about cost, right? Budget is all about you thinking about what it will take you to produce. And apart from your direct costs, we also mentioned you also have overheads. So it means that if I'm to do a fresh, we're in H2 already, if I'm to do a budget for my business between now and end of the year, I'll need to sit. And one of the first things I'll do, because I'm not a new business, is to see what my numbers were in the past. And that is the reason why we're saying you should keep record. So as a creative, if you have that financial operating system running for you, you have a pattern. And with that pattern, it's easy to use that pattern to forecast what can happen in the next period. You would have seen the pattern of your gigs, which is your income pattern. You see the timelines. You see when the gigs coming in every month, every week, daily, what are the sizes. It will give you a pattern. And with that pattern, you can, even without overthinking it, you can forecast into the next period. Also for your costs, you also would see a pattern, because in your budget line, you're going to have different items that gives you your expenses. You can also see the pattern. You can use that pattern to forecast. But beyond just using your historical to forecast, is you also sitting down to ask yourself, what are your business objectives for the next period? And once you determine those objectives, you now ask yourself, what would it take me to deliver on those objectives? Who am I going to buy from? Am I going to collaborate with? Who are going to be my suppliers? And how can I negotiate terms that can match the payments I'm also getting from my customers? So, and that is one easiest one you can do. Make sure that whatever timelines you're getting from your suppliers, from your customers, you can match that with what you're paying to your suppliers. So there's a natural match. In that way, you don't run out of cash. And another thing I've seen that happen to businesses is when the owner begins to dip money into the business and you are taking much more than you're supposed to pay. So put yourself on salary. Do not use business money to go and do Friday. What's that thing they do at the club? Don't do that, so that you don't run out of money. So I'm sure there are tools out there you can easily use to also create budget. There are different templates out there. With AI now, you can easily research that. But what I see mostly is that discipline to implement the budget. So beyond creating the budget is also the discipline to stick to the budget you have created for yourself. So with the discipline, I'm sure you won't run out of money. And if you should run out of money, you should be able to meet people to fund your business. If you have numbers, you can easily attract funders for your business. You can go to banks and discount your invoice. You can ask your customers, give them discounts to pay you faster. So those are part of the things you can also do should you run out of cash. So is there another question?
Yeah, I'm sending everything to you.
Is it you can ask what's that? Is that the question?
No. The question is, can I handle my tax filing without consulting a tax expert?
Yes, you can. The short answer is yes. But make sure that you're getting guidance. So, and don't just go and rely on AI for guidance. So there is now tax ombudsman and also the different tax authorities, because remember that tax authorities, that's their business is tax collection. So they are also trying to simplify the tax payment processes. And they're also willing to support you through their customer support and all of that. So yes, you can do that by yourself. But as your business grow and things start becoming very complex, or maybe you just believe that is not the best use of your time, that's the point when you can begin to consult people. But if you're just basic, you can handle it yourself. But make sure you seek knowledge, relevant knowledge, so that you don't end up paying more than you could have paid.
Okay, should I read the next one?
Yeah, because I'm struggling to find the questions. Yes.
Okay. So from Ojogbon, he said, how do I map out a yearly tax compliance calendar so I never get hit with surprise penalties during dry months?
Okay. So the first thing is to register. So if you register for taxes, and most of these tax authorities now, they have digital platforms. So if I'm going to use the Nigeria Revenue Service, they have what they call Rev 360. So Rev 360 will tell you the tax due. There's already a calendar inbuilt in the system. So with that tax due alert that you're going to get, you should already know what you need to do. So, but if you're not registered, you have to then begin to learn. So the best thing is, beyond your CAC, go and register for your tax, have your access to your platform. That way it will remind you. And then when you begin to do it over time, you begin to master. There are not many. So for instance, we have value added tax. And remember, value added tax is not for everybody. If your business is doing less than 100 million, you are exempted from charging. Do you see? Because you're a small business. So it means that that one, you don't really have business with it. For withholding tax, if you're also a small business, you don't really have business with it as well. Then if you are just a solopreneur, meaning that you are not employing anybody, it then means that it's just you're not paying pay as you earn for employees. You're only paying on the salary that you're making for yourself. And that one is monthly. So if you pay yourself, we are in July now. So if you pay yourself in June, you must make sure you pay your tax on the salary you've paid yourself the next month before the 10th day of the next month. So that's the calendar for personal income tax, whether for yourself or for your employees, as far as you are under the pay as you earn scheme. But if you're a solopreneur and you're not under pay as you earn scheme, then you can wait till the end of the year and make sure you pay before the March of the following year. So it's not complex, but because that's not your work, it might be sounding complex to you. Maybe I would have just done a calendar that I would have just shared with, but I'm sure it's something you can easily get online. You can actually just ask, describe your business and tell AI to just design a calendar for you and then you can then put in some reminders in your system to remind you. So I think that can help you with that.
So, okay, the next question is somebody said, I constantly undercharge because I fear losing clients. How do I calculate a pricing framework that covers my living cost, taxes, and business savings?
Your living cost, that means you haven't separated your business from yourself for you to have used that word. So your business is different from you. And if that person don't mind speaking up, do you have a business registered? Now, if you have a business registered and you have to decide, you have to look at the capacity of the business. What can the business pay you as salary? And from your salary, you should take care of your living costs. And when you do that and you see that let's say you would have loved your business to pay you 1 million per month, and then your business doesn't have the capacity to pay you 1 million per month, you can't be paying yourself that value. It means that that is an aspiration. If it's only 200K your business can pay you for now, remember what I said earlier on, that your business, the government have, if your business is above 100 million revenue, government have 34% stake in your business. So it means that you can't afford to be paying yourself anything you feel like. Then you need to aspire to say, how can I grow my revenue, grow my profit such that I can begin to pay myself 1 million naira, which I believe is my living expenses. So don't mix your business money with your personal money and then use your living expense to pay yourself. It should be that you're paying yourself based on the capacity of the business, and then you're making sure that you're organizing your personal affairs to be within your means, which is the salary the business has paid you. And then build up your capacity to grow your business. So your business can begin to pay you much more than your living expenses.
So It's already 8 p.m. and the webinar is supposed to last from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So for everyone who has more questions, you can the link to our community is in the group chat. You can join our community to ask your questions there where they are going to be answered. If you haven't joined our community, kindly join now as we are about to end the meeting. In few minutes, in few seconds, the meeting is going to end. So we thank you all for joining us today. We thank everybody who has been joining us from the first to the second and now the third one. Like, we really appreciate you, and we hope you've gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of insights, which you should apply to your business. So thank you very, very much for coming every time, and also stick with us. There's still a lot to learn, more value to be given. So thank you very much for attending today. We'll see you in the community. So if you haven't joined our community, check the group chat. I just dropped the link again, whereby we'll be furthering the topic of every week, and you can follow the updates. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.